All right, cool. Who's here to learn tons of great tips to have their best race ever? Raise your hand. Yes. Well, guess what? You're in the right place. So, my name is Erin Guthrie. I've done almost 300 triathlons, and I've been doing triathlons for 23 years.
Wow.
1997, I did my first race in the exact location where we're going to be racing tomorrow. So yeah, so I have lots of tips and tricks for you. I've coached thousands of athletes across hundreds of finish lines all over the world. And I can tell you I have a lot of experience and great stories to tell you. So please have fun, enjoy, and we're going to just walk through it step by step. Okay? You guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So like I said, we're going to kind of go back in time and leading into the week before the race. It's a good idea to have rested more and not trained too much. Did anybody train a lot this week? Good. You rest.
But not for the try.
Oh, something else. Okay. Yeah, so sometimes, especially on your first triathlon, it's common to overdo it. The first week, you're not sure if you did enough, right? But it's really important to rest coming into the day of the race and not be overtired, because it's normal to feel tired after training weeks and weeks and weeks. Making sure you're eating nice, clean food, not maybe going partying on Friday night when you have a race on Sunday, right? Anybody go out last night? Guilty. We know where your priorities are. Yeah, so be careful with that, because it does affect you, right? It does affect you. And so usually the Friday before a Sunday race, I usually recommend to take the whole day off. Maybe do some meditation. If you guys are on Facebook or Instagram, I just posted a pre-race meditation that I would highly recommend you guys do it a couple times today and tomorrow before the race, just so you can learn everything you're going to learn from me today and then implement it into your specific race plan, okay? So I have all my athletes create a race plan for the day, and I use an app called TriCalc3. So I didn't say you're going to take notes, but I would take some notes if you can. So it's called www.tricalc3.com, and there you can actually predict your race time, okay? You can drop down the distance of the race that you're going to be doing, and you can pick your swim, your bike, your run, and estimate how long it's going to take you to swim, okay? How long it's going to take you to bike, how long it's going to take you to run. You add the transition times in there, and then you have a final time. You have enough energy, and we're going to talk about nutrition today. But you want to make sure you have enough energy going into the race and finishing the race with a lot of, smile on your face, not dragging because you didn't fuel yourself, okay? So writing out that race plan, you want to think about all the details that you're going to come across from the morning today, this morning before the race, all the way to the end of the race tomorrow. So what are you going to have for breakfast? So we're going to get to nutrition in a minute. How are you going, ideally Friday is your day off, and then Saturday before the race, you do a pre-race brick, which is a swim, bike, run. And we did that with my team on the key. Did anybody do a little exercise today? No, nothing?
Not yet.
Not yet. So it's not too late, and I do recommend even just like a 15-minute little run, because it actually can help you get rid of some of the nerves if you have them. And I do also actually recommend tomorrow morning doing a little bit of a run and a mandatory swim warm-up before the race to have a better race, right? It's really, really important to not be training for days and days in a row before the race, because you're going to feel stale and flat, right? Okay, so the day before the race, a little pre-race warm-up, and then a really nice lunch, and then a same thing for a dinner. Get to bed early. It's normal not to sleep well tonight. It's totally normal, so don't worry if that's the case. And hopefully you didn't go out last night, and you got at least 8 hours of sleep last night. So my team and I'm based here in Florida. I never introduced myself, I don't think, but Erin Guthrie, owner of Full Circle Coaching, and I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and I have a YouTube channel with tons of great information. And I actually have some videos specific to race day on transitions and how to do them, that you guys are all welcome to go and check them out. This is how your bike is going to be set up, right, tomorrow morning. So you're going to get to the race site tomorrow morning, and there are a few things to consider. The race site closes. You cannot drive in after 6:30. You will be sent away. So I've had a few athletes show up really late, and they were not allowed to come and park in the race, and they missed the whole race. This was last race. So do not show up past 6:30, and I recommend getting there by 5, between 5 and 5:30. So be strict on getting there on time. Also, you don't want to come across any issues, right? So in the morning, is anyone willing to share with me their nutrition, their pre-race nutrition? Okay.
I mean, in the morning, it's like you want to avoid solids, right?
No.
Just try to solids that you eat, and then
What's your plan for tomorrow morning?
just like, I don't know, small cup of oatmeal.
Okay, oatmeal. Sounds good. Anything else in it?
Berries.
What about tonight? Like
Okay.
pasta party or
Yeah, we're gonna get to it. I'm just trying to feel the crowd out. What are you gonna have
tomorrow morning?
for breakfast?
Just the tea.
Just tea.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else want to share? Lily, what are you gonna have?
Egg. Salmon.
Okay, she's my athlete, so she knows. Okay, so
Have a good
guys, she's trained with me for the past few months. But anyway, so the Ferrari goes really, really fast. But if you don't put gas in the tank, there's no way that it's gonna go, no matter how hard you push the gas pedal. So tea is not going to make you have the best race possible. It's just a fact, right? So we're human beings and we run on fuel, but the cool thing about it is you can actually fuel your body correctly from fat and protein and not as much carbohydrate, but you have to train yourself. So never try anything new on race day, okay? But I will tell you there is a better way to fuel yourself, and that is to make sure you have a combination of all three foods, macronutrients, carbs, protein, and fat, right? So if you're gonna do the oatmeal, I would suggest a hard-boiled egg or two along with it, so you have some protein to stabilize your blood sugar. In the egg yolk, you're getting the fat you need. And then if you have the oatmeal, you can also add a little almond butter for a little extra fat, right? And you're gonna feel so good when the gun goes off that you have the fuel in your body to perform well, okay? We're gonna talk about race day nutrition, but pre-race tonight, pasta is a very common misconception that you have to carbo load for a triathlon, and it's just not true, you guys. So carbo loading with a big bowl of pasta makes you feel heavy and slow, and you don't really want to feel that. You want to feel light and fast tomorrow, and so you don't need to do any loading for a sprint or Olympic distance triathlon. You have enough fuel in your body right now. If I said you have to go do the race right now, every single one of you would finish with a little sports nutrition, right? For sure, not a doubt in my mind. No matter even what your level is, you can do it, right? But fueling with protein, fat, and carbohydrates is a great way to have a more successful race, right? You want to make sure there's a space of about 10 minutes, before your wave start. So say other people have already started the race, there's plenty of space farther down to the beach for you to warm up. Okay, so you can come back on either direction. Yeah, you just don't want to be in the way of the race, but the beach is huge. So you can practice and then you can do a little jog back to the race start, okay? So you've done your race warm up, and you're going to come back to the beach, and I suggest one extra bit of energy. So either 3 Cliff blocks or a gel. About 15-20 minutes before the swim, it's really going to top off your glycogen stores and just really help you stay focused for the race, right? Believe it or not, your brain is going to be using most of your energy, most of your breakfast, and all your setup. So by the time the race starts, sometimes you can be hungry, right? So even having an extra banana, as you're setting up your race, all that, you want to have extra food just in case. I've actually been to a race where the rain started. Actually, it was a Mercedes race, and the race started, and then it started storming, and they canceled it, like they postponed it. So all those people had to start the race over again. We waited an hour, and I was like starving. I did not bring any nutrition, right? So ever since that day, I've always brought extra bars, and there's plenty of good stuff in Max Cycle. So have a normal amount of coffee. If you want to use coffee as more of an ergogenic aid, the week before the race, you can taper down or have decaffeinated coffee, half and half, and then on race day, have a normal amount of coffee, and you will be really, really sharp and fast and strong on race day from the coffee. Coffee also helps you burn fat as a fuel source. So coffee is a good thing if you train it and use it regularly and you're used to it. But if you don't use it, don't start tomorrow. Okay? It's normal also to go to the bathroom a lot of times before the race because your body literally perceives that you're going into war, right? You're a warrior, you're going to go fight, and your body wants to eliminate as much as possible before that, fight so that you can have your best performance. So caffeine is okay. Sea salt, a little extra sea salt on your food is great today. It really helps you with your electrolytes. Is anybody here cramping when they train or cramping? No cramps? Okay, cool. Okay, so that you get to the race site tomorrow morning, you're going to get there at 5:30, and immediately you're going to get to your race site. or your transition area. So does anybody know what a transition area looks like? Right? It's just a big giant square. So luckily this transition area is in the grass. I've heard a few rumors of some ants, so be careful of where you're putting your stuff down. But there's going to be racks, just like this one, lined up with your race number on the edge. Okay, so my race number, I've got my bike all set up already. So my race number is 355. So I'm going to be looking for the rack that says 350 to 360. And I can rack my bike anywhere on that rack, okay? You also want to investigate when you get to the race site tomorrow. I recommend putting on your run shoes first, putting all your stuff on your transition rack, and go running around slowly and check everything out. Check out where you're going to leave on the bike, where you're going to come in from the swim, where you're going to come back in from the bike, and where you're going to leave on the run. It's your responsibility to know the race course, okay? Even if a volunteer says go this way and that's the wrong way, it's your responsibility, okay? You have to know the race course. We're going to go over it in a minute because there have been some changes, okay? So setting up your going for a run, checking out everything, and making sure you go to the bathroom a couple times, like we said, and maybe even running through the finish line, right? See what that feels like, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to be here soon, right? Visualize that and experience it, and you're going to be back in a few hours, right? Then head back to your transition area and set it up in order of use. So what I do, I leave my bike shoes on the bike, which I don't expect you to do that for your first race, but you would have your bike shoes on the floor, and your run shoes would be second, right? Because you wouldn't need them as much in the beginning, right? You're going to bike first. And I have my helmet open and unstrapped in the direction that I'm going to put it on my head. Okay, there will be tomorrow at least one person riding their bike with their helmet on backwards. I have, like I said, 300 races. 300 races, there's always one, okay? And there's always one runner with their helmet on. They did not take the helmet on when they came back into transition. It just happens. You're so focused on moving, and it's normal, right? So, but none of you guys, right? That's not going to be any of you. Okay.
How that adapts to rain? How that setup adapts to rain?
If it rains, guess what? It gets wet. That's it.
You just don't, no, but you don't put anything like seat blocks or...
Yeah, I don't, because if it's raining
You're gonna get wet.
and you take it off and then you go ride in the rain, it's all going to be wet anyway. So for me, like, I'm very, hey, what's up? I'm really keeping it simple. So most people, you know, some newbies actually bring like a picnic blanket and a picnic basket and a lounge chair for their transition. I'm just making a joke, you guys. So that's not true. But they do, actually. Some people bring a lot of stuff, but do you see how simple it is? That's it. That's all I bring. I have my visor for here. I have my sunglasses and my visor for my run. I'll do a little transition for you. That's all I use. That's it. By the time I run in from the swim, I'm dry, right? So I grab my bike and go.
Do you throw socks on?
I don't. Yeah, so I'll give you a little tip at the end about how to practice, how to learn, how to train without socks. Okay? All right. So I'm setting up my whole transition area. I got my water bottle here, and this is a road bike. So a lot of people train and race with triathlon. Does anybody have a tri bike here? Yeah. So I have more than one bike. So I'm currently training for a draft legal triathlon, which means I can't draft behind another cyclist, and we're going to get to that in a minute. So I'm training on my road bike, right? So you're not as fast on a road bike as you are on a tri bike, but most everybody has a road bike, right? Okay, cool. So this looks familiar. Yes? Okay. Okay, so I'm setting up my transition area with my seat racked on the bar, and I want to have my bike facing the bike out, right? So I'm not spending a lot of time taking my bike off and having to turn all the way around to just get out, right? So think about the lay of the transition area and how you can get from, you know, your transition area to the end in as short a period as possible. Does that make sense? Okay, so everything's set up. I literally head to the beach and I make sure I have at least 30 minutes, 20 if I'm running late, to warm up in the water, okay? Now this is probably the best tip I will give you guys, that you will have a much better race experience if you get in the water for 10 minutes. Not 1 minute, not 2 minutes, 10 minutes. Longer than what your swim is gonna be, okay? I have athletes all the time, you know, delay doing this as a newbie, and when they finally do it, they're like, oh my gosh. Instead of the swim being this horrible experience of no breathing, panic attack, I felt great. right? I did an awesome job. Yay, all the training I've done, right? And instead, you get in there and there's all this chaos, which is not going to be as much chaos because they're doing a staggered start line now, which is much better. But still, the swimming isn't the most dangerous part of the sport, right? So you're doing yourself a disservice by not warming up. And I like to include orps. So even on the run, when I told you guys to run around before the race, I recommend a few orps, over race pace pickups, I call them, just to kind of get your blood moving and your heart rate up, so that you feel when it comes back down and you're organizing everything, you feel calmer, right? It really, really helps you calm down, to breathe deeply. And then you do the same thing on the swim, and you're also going to be checking out the lay of the land in the water, right? You're going to see how clear it is, which is awesome. Has anybody swim over there by Crandon before? It's crystal clear. You guys can see right to the bottom. You'll see stingrays sometimes, maybe some lobster, who knows? And it's beautiful, right? And once you put your face down in the water, you got to remember to blow your bubbles, okay? So one of your mantras, I'm going to ask you guys all to pick a mantra for each portion of the race. A lot of times for the newbies, it's bubble, bubble, breathe. Bubble, bubble, breathe. That's your mantra, right? To help you stay calm and relaxed. Make sure you're exhaling instead of just, right? Because that tends to be what happens in the water. Is there anyone that's nervous about the swim? Okay, be honest. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so this warm-up is essential for you even more, right? But everybody here, raise your right hand. I promise.
I promise.
To swim. Before the race. At least 10 minutes.
At least 10 minutes.
Yes. Okay, seriously, it's a total game changer. And go together, right? Grab your buddies, grab your friends. Hey, we got to get to the race site. And you're going to see it's going to be a beautiful sunrise. It's supposed to be just like it was today, where they forecasted like 50% of chance of rain, and it was nothing, right? So we don't know what to expect. There could be a rain shower, but it's going to move off. It's not going to be stuck that way the whole time. So just enjoy the beauty of the morning, but get in the water, kick a little, pull hard a little, and remember to get your bubbles blowing, okay?
How long do you warm up for a 1,000 meter swim?
For a 1K, I would definitely do 15 minutes probably.
15 minutes?
Are you a good swimmer?
All right.
So minimum 10. 10's the minimum, right? If you don't want to waste too much energy. But if it's a 400-yard swim, I'll swim the course backwards usually. And maybe again one more time, 800, twice as much for a 400. But 1,000's a little longer, so maybe not as long, right? All right, so you're lined up on the beach. You had that extra gel. You have an extra water bottle that you can throw in the garbage can. You don't want to leave your stuff on the beach. And then you're going to sit down and visualize that race, just like I did for you guys on that meditation on my YouTube channel, on my Instagram channel last night. I highly recommend everything that I'm teaching you today, run through it specific to you. How you're going to do the swim, how you're going to do the bike, how you're going to do the run, all the details. You're going to wake up tomorrow morning and you're going to be feeling amazing. You just had the best night of sleep, right? So even if it's not true, you want to visualize it so that it's possible to be true tomorrow, okay? So I recommend that you're already at the race, so you're going to visualize and imagine one more time the whole thing going perfectly, and it's more likely going to go perfectly if you do that, right? Mental skills, that's what the Olympians do. Who's watching the Olympics today later, yeah? So let those athletes be your inspiration, right? Okay, so the gun goes off. You're going to be lined up according to your swim cap color, and there are wave starts. But the good news is they don't do mass wave starts anymore, which is great because it's like 2 athletes at a time. And so you seed yourself accordingly in the group. So if you're a strong swimmer, you can start, closer to the front. But don't hold back too long. Don't be the last person in your wave because, you don't want to delay the fact that you have to swim. Just get out there and start moving.
Do it.
Just do it. So just remember your wave colors. So I'm not going to go over these, but these are available to you. They send you an email about them, and you can find them on the website. Is there any questions about the wave start and your cap colors or anything like that? Okay, so you understand how that works. Okay, so you're going to swim, swim, swim. Let's talk about swim-specific performance. So swimming in a straight line is really important if you don't want to be out there longer than the race course, right? So making sure you're lined up with the buoy, right, the very first buoy, or even looking to the last buoy. So if you're doing the international, you're going to go down and come back, so it's 2 loops. But for the sprints, it's just straight down, right-hand turn, and you're out, okay? So just make sure you're siding every 5 strokes. Does everybody know what siding means?
Yes.
Yes. So siding means lifting your head and looking where you're going. So a lot of times in an athlete's first race, They swim and they're like so proud that they're swimming, and they're like, oh, that girl told me to blow my bubbles, and I'm blowing my bubbles, and I'm doing it. Oh my god, oh my gosh, I'm doing it. And they literally look up and there are nobody around them, and they swam out to the sea, and they're oh my god, what do I do now, right? So this is happening all the time. So remember to look up. So 5 is a good number. I like 5 because it helps you switch the arm that's out in front when you sight. So you breathe, don't breathe, breathe, don't breathe, sight, okay? So you literally lift your head up and look where you're going. This arm stays out front and you kick a little bit to help keep your streamline, right? And then you pull your head back down and you do it again. And you just keep repeating that over and over and over to get to a straight line to the buoy, then take a right, and you're out the beach, right?
You try to take a breath when you lift your head directly up, or you just leave your eyes up?
Yeah, so there's a couple techniques. That's called alligator technique. I'll tell you the conditions tomorrow. There's not going to be big waves. I don't want to waste lifting my head and all that energy and not take a breath. So for me, I take a breath. But sometimes if you're like in a big ocean swim, like California or even on South Beach, the waves can be really big. And sometimes you do that and you swallow a huge thing of water. So you just have to time it. But I'm confident tomorrow you won't have to worry about it. And you guys can use that to make sure you're bringing everything you need tomorrow. Because believe it or not, a few of my races I've actually forgot my running shoes. I actually had a contact pop out right before the swim start. So I had to drive back to my hotel. I missed the swim start. Got my new contact, started in two wave starts later, and really had a great race because of all my adrenaline. But having that checklist is a great reminder, and I kind of created it for myself. So please use it, no matter how many races you've done. Okay, so you're swimming. If you want to make it a little easier on yourself, you can draft off of somebody else. So drafting means you're swimming next to somebody from their shoulders down, anywhere behind their feet, right? And so the cool thing about drafting is when you guys are together, you both go faster, okay? Because the longer you are when you swim, the faster you go. So if you can stay right behind someone, you can actually feel the benefit. The person in the back gets the benefit of not having to work so hard. So that's a big strategy that I use all the time, and I'll literally go feet to feet to feet to feet, and then pass everybody right at the end, right? So it's a fun strategy to practice. You might not do it tomorrow, but maybe sometime in the future. So you're taking a right-hand turn around the buoy, and you're gonna swim all the way to shore. Please resist the urge to stand up too soon, okay? The water you can stand up anytime. It is at the deepest, on me, I'm 6 feet, so at the deepest, it's like chest deep. So some of you guys might not be able to touch, but most of you will. But literally, you can see the bottom the whole time. And sometimes you're tired, right? And you kind of get anxious about it being over, and you're like, oh, there's the shore 200 yards away, and you're like, I'm just gonna stand up and walk in. No, like it just wastes so much energy. Even if you have to switch to breaststroke, keep swimming, right? Keep your head down, keep swimming until 2 hands touch the sand, and then you're gonna 2 hands touch the sand, you're gonna pop up, and you're gonna run out of the water, and you're gonna head up the beach. Now, that's called transition 1. You're heading into transition 1. Now, T1 can take a lot of your oxygen, right? You've been horizontal, you wanna kick a little extra to get more blood up into your brain so that when you stand up, you might feel dizzy. At least the blood is pumping because you kicked a little harder to get the blood up into your brain. And it's okay if you have to walk a little bit. It's gonna be hot. The water was really, really warm today. It felt like soup, I'll tell you. So please take your swim cap off right away. So you come up, of course, smile for the camera if there's someone there. Pose, right? The perfect pose. And then you hit stop or lap on your watch, right? Grab your swim cap and take it off just so the heat can escape your head, because it will cool you off. And remember to keep your swim cap with you. It's illegal to drop it, and it's bad for the environment, okay? Let's talk about sunscreen real quick too. I do recommend sunscreen, but obviously reef safe. You guys are gonna be in the ocean where all the animals live, and it's their house. So please be respectful and get a physical block that protects the reefs and is not harmful to the reef. Stay away from the chemical blocks. They cause cancer anyway. So be smart about your sunscreen. Okay, so you're heading up the beach. If you need to walk, no problem. There's actually a shower at the exit of this swim. So if you feel like you can't be that salty, you can take a quick rinse. If the race is really important to you and you want to have a good time, then don't do that. But there is some grass along the way. You can literally wipe your feet off while you're running to your transition area. So you're going to remember where your bike is inside transition. There's going to be a lot of racks. So you want to familiarize yourself, before you go to the swim that morning, where you are. I've had people lose their bikes inside the transition for minutes. Like, wait, where was I? You can always also look at your race numbers. So your race numbers, you're going to use a Sharpie, or you can get your race numbers put on the morning of the race before you walk into transition. If you want to do it yourself, that's fine. But just remember, a 3 in the mirror does not look right, okay? I put it on backwards many times, and it looks like an E. So that's not good, and everybody makes fun of you. So don't do that. But or you can have your friend do it when you get there. But I always have an extra Sharpie just in case, because I don't want to wait in line, right? Okay, so you're going to put your race numbers on either arm, and you can put your age on your calf if you want to. Grab your bike. The first thing you want to do is put your helmet on and buckle it. Okay, it's a new rule. They didn't actually used to have this rule. They used to say you could put it on and not have to buckle it until you were moving. But now they changed the rule. When you put your helmet on, you have to buckle it. So that's the very first thing you do. Buckle the helmet. If you have sunglasses, you want to leave them on and open, facing the direction that they're going to be put on your face. And make sure, ladies, when you're putting your helmet on, that your ponytail is not blocking the way, right? So this ponytail would not work in that helmet, so I braid my hair so I don't have to worry about it. So if you have long hair, braids are a good idea. So I grab my bike, and I'm going to run with my bike out of the transition area. You cannot get on your bike inside the transition area, okay? You have to wait till you go outside the transition area, and there's a clear line, and there's volunteers there saying here, mount here, mount here. So move to the right, get out of everybody's way, and then take your time. Make sure your bike is starting in an easy gear. Does anybody know what that means? So in the front, you could be in the small ring, and in the back, you could be in a bigger ring. That means it'll be easier for you to accelerate. If you've been training a lot, you can still start in the big ring in the front, but keep it in a big ring in the back, so at least you have light resistance to get going. And then as you get faster, you can grab gears, right? Everybody's changing their gears on the bike, yes? Anybody not know how to change gears? Okay, good. You want to use your gears. So while you're on the bike, please avoid low RPMs, okay? RPMs is revolutions per minute. Avoid having your gears so hard, even though you want to go fast, slow, right? Slow, hard pushes, they do not make for good transition runs, okay? So you want to have fast legs, and my rule of thumb is between 85 and 95, but if you don't have a computer measuring that, you're going to have to guess. I sometimes will go down the whole race, say, grab a gear, drop a gear, grab a gear, drop a gear, right? Just giving people some help along the way because they're not in the most efficient gear. You know what feels good, you know what's working to help you move forward, but don't be spinning away and not moving, right? Is anybody concerned about the bridge? Yeah. So we do have the bridge in the race tomorrow. So, you know, when you come to the bridge, it's a good idea to not kill it up the bridge because you will be super duper winded. And then when you get to the top, you won't have the energy to really push and take advantage of the downhill, right? And you want to take the downhill at a safe place based on your ability. If you're not willing to go 35 miles an hour, then don't kill it on the way down. So try to stay kind of even pace on the way up and the way down and be safe. You're always staying on the right-hand side of the road for the bike. And then you're going to go down about 200 yards, you're going to make a U-turn. Okay, so some safety things on the bike. And then you have to come right back up. So the bridge can take a little bit of energy out of you. So when you're riding, drafting, does everybody know what drafting means? We talked about it on the swim, right? Drafting is illegal. It's not allowed. So that means if you are riding behind another cyclist, you can get a penalty. Okay, so it's not allowed even if you're friends. Even if you just tell the official you're friends, you know, he still won't let you. You guys, come on, it's lighthearted. Okay, so 3 bike links. Three bikes between every single bike. But it gets really crowded out there, and there are actually even other people that are not even in the race biking with you, right? So you kind of just have to do your best, but stay on the right. And if you come upon another cyclist, you say, on your left, you say those words out loud, on your left. You look behind you, make sure no one's passing you. We don't want any accidents, and then you're going to safely pass the person you're trying to pass. You have 15 seconds to pass, okay? That's plenty of time. So you come up behind them, and then you say on your left, and you pass them. And don't cut them off, right? Give them lots of space, okay? But there is an interesting phenomenon when a girl, a woman, goes to pass a guy. somehow they start to have more energy and they try to race you. I don't know why that happens. But that's illegal, okay? So the guy has, of course, it could be two girls, it doesn't matter. But whoever's being passed has to wait till that person passes them, and then you can pass back and still stay 3 bike lengths apart, and it's great because you will have a much faster race if you have someone that's just even with you and you guys are taking turns, right? Really pushing each other. Now, that might not happen in your first race, but maybe in the future race. Okay, so coming back over the bridge, that's when I would have another thing of energy, right? So another gel. So you can see on my bike, I tape my gel to the top tube, right, with electrical tape. Electrical tape does not hurt the paint on your bike, so I can literally just be riding along, rip off the gel, eat it, and I, of course, do not litter, right? I put the wrapper in my shorts, and then I keep riding, right? So that bit of energy is going to carry me to the end of the run. If your run is longer than 30 minutes, you might need another gel at the beginning of the run. It just depends on how long your whole race is going to be, and that's how you can use that tri-calc to kind of decide. But every 35 minutes, I would recommend some energy, okay? So you're coming in from the bike. Again, just like in the water, when you're kicking a little extra, you want to spin your legs a little extra because you're about to get off and run, right? So you want to drop your gears, spin your legs a little extra, and then you come into transition. And it's a little tricky. You're going to have to take a right, and then you take another, like kind of a zigzag right. So please check out the race maps. They emailed them to you today to make sure you understand the bike exit, okay? Because it's a little weird. And if you're doing 2 laps, you have to make sure you got to keep track of your own laps, right? So you're doing 2 laps. So it's 2 laps on the swim, 2 laps on the bike for the international, and then 2 laps on the run.
When you do the U-turn on the bridge, does it take you down the same road up?
Yes. So the whole right-hand side of the causeway is ours. There's no cars on the whole right-hand side. So yes, we're on the same side of the road. And that U-turn, please take it at your own. Like, don't try to go too fast. Just be conscious of everybody around you. Hold your line, meaning don't try to be wide and then cut way in. Like, hold your line and make a real rounded turn for safety. Lighten your gears because you're slowing way down, and then accelerate again. You're going back up the bridge to the other side, and that's when you're going to have some energy after coming down, right? Heading back to the flat. And for the Olympic, I would definitely make sure you have that gel, at least one.
Where's
Okay.
the U-turn, Erin?
It's like 200 yards after the bridge.
Like
Yep.
like this or
Yeah,
behind
like
it?
it's a left-hand U-turn.
It's not under the bridge.
No, not. That's what we do when we train
Yeah.
because of traffic, but we don't do that for the race because we have
So
the
they're
whole
gonna
road.
block the
Yeah, the whole
oh.
road's blocked. There's people going up the bridge and you're, behind them and you're faster than them, you just pass them, right? If they're faster than you, just drop back 1 or 2 bike lengths, right? And then the slower people need to stay right. You need to move farther. And there's plenty of space, you guys, to have, the slower people on the right, the people passing them, and then you have the people coming this way that are going faster and passing the slower people on the other side. It's doable. It spreads out, okay?
So like longer races, like what RPM do you try to stay at?
The same, 85 to 95.
85 to 90?
Yeah, that's the sweet spot because I don't know if you are familiar with a good cadence on the run is 90. So that's the same thing, 85 to 95. So if you bike for that period of time at 85 to 95, the transition to the run will be more seamless. Your legs won't feel so heavy because you've been keeping that same cadence on the bike, and then you transition to the run and it feels a lot smoother than if you had an RPM of like 50 or 60 and then you switch to the run, your legs feel like bricks. That's why they call it a brick, right? So I like to call it a transition run, so I get rid of that heavy word, right? Okay, so you're coming back in from the bike and you're, oh, little baby. Like little baby. So coming back in, and you've got to find your bike spot again. I actually got a penalty because I rushed, getting my bike spot, and I was on the end and I leaned my bike against the outside, and they gave me a penalty, right? So you have to put your bike in the exact same spot you left it. It can be facing the opposite direction, but it has to be the same spot. You can't take someone else's spot, okay? That happens all the time. So again, what's the first thing you're going to do when you rack your bike? You guys got it. None of you are going to be running with your helmet on. Okay, so I take my shoes off and leave them on the bike when I transition. I'm not expecting you guys to do that tomorrow. So when you safely unclip, you're going to run with your run shoes to your transition area, and then after you take your helmet off, get your bike shoes off, get your run shoes on. I love elastic laces just for the simple fact, you can put your running shoes. It's really hard to tie your shoelaces when you're in the middle of a triathlon. Believe it or not, you're like, why don't my fingers work? Like, I can't get them to work, right? So by using the laces, these are, what are these called again? These are, rip laces. So you can have them custom made. So these actually have my logo on them, so they're kind of cool.
So
Nice.
Huh? They sell an elastic lace in there, but it's not this brand. But this brand, you can make them custom. But anyway, so your foot goes in just like a slipper, okay? So it's really easy. You don't have to be fumbling with your shoelaces. So you literally, I get to my transition area, my helmet is off, my shoes are already off. I slip one on, the other on, and then I just grab all my stuff. I grab my visor, I grab my sunglasses, and I grab my run belt. We didn't talk about the numbers, which I will. And then I start running. And while I'm running, I'm putting my visor on. While I'm running, I'm putting my sunglasses on. While I'm running, I'm putting my run belt on so that I'm not wasting time having a picnic in transition. Now, I know you guys are like, this is my first race, like, I don't care. And then, I promise, you go to the results, and you see the leaderboard, and it says you got 4th place. And you look at the results, and you say, oh my God, my transition was 5 minutes. If I had just did a little more movement, I would have been on the podium. Can you imagine that? Wouldn't that be cool? I mean, there was this huge race in St. Anthony's, and this guy came back, and he racked his bike in the other guy's spot and took his run shoes and ran the race with his run shoes. Another person's run shoes. So this is the kind of craziness that can happen.
Your man is flying.
So try not, use your own stuff if you can. Okay, so the 3 numbers that are in your bag, if you guys want to look in your bag and everybody want to pull that out, there's 3 numbers. There's one number that's the most important number. Do you guys know why? It's this one. You know why it's the most important? For your photo. Yes. No. Good to see you. See you tomorrow. On the bike, we all look the same. So when they take a picture, they would never be able to identify you, for the race photos. So if you want a picture of yourself on the bike, the bad thing is the guy is usually at the top of the bridge, right? When you are like exhausted, your tongue is hanging out, and you're like, ah! Right? And you can't get that smile in, but then somehow you're able to pose, right? But yeah, so this number goes on the front of your helmet, make sure it's visible. And then your bike number goes on your bike seat, right? You can see my seat is really high, so I have plenty of space to put it. If yours is not that high, you can put it down here, but just make sure it doesn't rub on the wheel. And then you can put it here on the top tube, but be careful because it will cut you. Like, I've had paper cuts on my thighs from the bike number, so just be careful where you put it. You're not allowed to cut the number to shape it or anything. You cannot destroy the numbers. And then your last one is your run belt. Okay, so this is your run belt number, and you don't have to wear this the whole race. You only need it across the finish line, but I don't really recommend pinning it to you for the swim, right? So that's why a race belt, and I'm giving 2 away, so you might win one if you don't have one. But the race belt is a great investment. It's like $10, and you just put it on while you're running, and then you leave it there, and then it's there when you cross the finish line.
Do we have water in the race, in the running?
Awesome question. So aid stations, rule of thumb, never pass up an aid station, okay? So what I say, even if you think you're not thirsty or you don't need to just take a quick sip, just do it anyway, because what if the next aid station is out of water, right? That has happened before, right? So go ahead and take a quick sip, even spit it out if you don't want to, or dump it on your head. Oh, I was reminded, Mercedes asked me to remind you guys that 1 table is base, like electrolyte drink or whatever calorie drink, and 1 is water. They're both clear. Okay, so last race, someone complained because he threw the electrolyte drink in his face, right? And he thought it was water. So he was all sticky and angry. Yeah, so make sure, now they're having 2 separate tables. So if you want water, pick the water. If you want the carbohydrate drink, pick the carbohydrate drink. On the bike, you are self-contained. There's no aid station on the bike. So definitely have a water bottle. For the sprint, I only carry 1 water bottle. That's really all you need. And for the Olympic, though, I would have 2. I would have at least 1 with electrolytes and then 1 with just plain water. Okay, you guys good on nutrition? So pacing, this is a big one. I literally had one of my athletes crying at the last race because they just didn't understand how they could feel so bad during the run. And what happened was they just pushed so hard. They pushed so hard on the swim and the bike that they literally blew up on the run, and you know, people were passing them like they were going, he just couldn't believe what was happening, right? And I was like, it's pacing is racing. So you cannot go 100% on the bike and expect to have a good run. You have to hold back. And that's where you know, training and racing with a power meter or a heart rate monitor can help you learn what your paces need to be for a good run off the bike, okay? Other tips, so cliff blocks. If you do caffeine, make sure, you know, you're used to doing the caffeine. And this black cherry one is one of my favorites. If you don't like the gels, this is a great alternative, but it is a little bit more clumsy when you're on the bike. So just be careful with that. Okay, baby powder and Vaseline. So this is my secret for learning to run with no socks. So I don't train with socks either. I only do short course triathlon. So, you know, my longest run is an hour and a half and my bikes are 3 hours. But once you get to 20 minutes with no socks on the bike, I mean on your bike shoes or in your run shoes, you won't get blisters anymore, okay? But to get there, I recommend using baby powder and Vaseline. You put your foot in your shoe, and anywhere it might be rubbing, you just put a little dollop of this so that the skin doesn't rub to create a blister, right? And you build up 5 minutes, put your socks on. 10 minutes, put your socks on. 15 minutes, put your socks on. After 20 minutes, you're usually good to go. Any questions on that? And so don't try it tomorrow because you don't want to have bloody feet.
Nothing new
When you cross,
tomorrow.
yeah, when you cross the finish line tomorrow, you don't want to have bloody feet. Okay, also, my other tip. So tomorrow morning, the sun will be coming up. Okay, this is a big one. If your goggles are too clear and the sun is rising, you literally will not be able to see where you're going. And every time you go to sight, you'll be like, I can't see. So I prefer to race with these blue tints because whether it's cloudy or whether it's sunny, I can typically always see the buoys. And then if I know it's going to be a super, super bright day, I'll use my mirrored ones. These are like my special, and notice they're still in the box. Okay, so I have race day goggles on purpose because how often does your goggles fog up, right? You use them 5 times and the anti-fog is gone.